Welcome back everybody, because today we need to talk about a Jennifer Lopez moment that quietly turned into one of the most analyzed celebrity documentaries of the streaming era, even though it was never officially marketed that way. When audiences first heard that Lopez was releasing the greatest love story never told, many assumed it would simply function as promotional material connected to her album and visual project This Is Me. Now. But once viewers actually watched it, the conversation changed almost immediately, because instead of seeing a polished celebrity fantasy, many people felt they were witnessing something far stranger. A superstar trying to explain herself to an audience that no longer views fame the same way she does. From the opening moments, the documentary carried an unusual tension beneath the glamour. Jennifer Lopez presented the project as a deeply personal reflection on love, emotional insecurity, public scrutiny, and the long psychological journey that eventually led her back to Ben Affleck after nearly 2 decades apart. She openly discussed relationship trauma, fear of loneliness, and the emotional consequences of spending most of her adult life inside a media microscope. But what made the documentary fascinating was not just what Lopez said. It was the reactions from people around her. Throughout the film, viewers noticed moments where collaborators, producers, and even people close to her appeared uncertain about the scale and emotional exposure of the project itself. Online discussions exploded around those scenes because many audiences interpreted them as accidental glimpses into how disconnected major celebrities can become from ordinary perspectives. One scene in particular generated enormous attention online because it involved Ben Affleck expressing discomfort about aspects of their relationship becoming material for public storytelling. Affleck, who has spent years openly talking about his struggles with fame and media obsession, appeared visibly conflicted about Lopez turning private emotional experiences into large-scale entertainment content. Internet audiences immediately focused on his body language, his facial expressions, and the awkward emotional energy surrounding those conversations. Some viewers believed the documentary unintentionally revealed a fundamental difference between Lopez and Affleck. In their interpretation, Lopez still viewed public storytelling as empowering and necessary, while Affleck seemed exhausted by the machinery of celebrity exposure itself. Whether or not that interpretation was completely fair, it became one of the defining online narratives surrounding the documentary. Another reason the film became so heavily discussed was because audiences genuinely could not agree on whether it was self-aware. Supporters argued that Jennifer Lopez was showing remarkable honesty by exposing insecurities that most celebrities would carefully hide. They pointed out that she openly acknowledged her fear of being unloved, her emotional dependence on relationships, and the psychological pressure of maintaining a larger-than-life public image for decades. But critics saw something entirely different. They believed the documentary unintentionally exposed how deeply Lopez remains attached to the mythology of her own celebrity identity. Certain viewers described the project as emotionally revealing without necessarily being emotionally grounded, arguing that Lopez seemed unable to separate genuine vulnerability from theatrical self-presentation. That distinction became the core reason discussions around the film felt so intense and polarized. The timing of the documentary also mattered enormously. By 2024, audiences had already become increasingly skeptical of celebrity self-documentaries in general. Over the last decade, streaming platforms filled with projects where famous people attempt to reclaim control of their public image by presenting supposedly intimate access to their lives. But modern viewers have learned to watch these documentaries critically. They analyze editing choices, framing, emotional timing, and narrative structure almost like detectives searching for manipulation. Jennifer Lopez entered that environment with a project built around destiny, romance, emotional suffering, and self-discovery, all delivered through expensive cinematic production and highly stylized storytelling. For some audiences, that scale enhanced the emotional power of the documentary. For others, it made authenticity feel impossible. At the same time, many entertainment analysts argued that the reaction proved something important about Jennifer Lopez's cultural position. Very few celebrities could release a documentary and generate that level of psychological analysis from the public. People were not merely reviewing the film itself. They were debating what Lopez represents culturally. Is she an extraordinarily disciplined entertainer unfairly mocked for believing in glamour and romance during a cynical internet era? Or is she an example of celebrity culture becoming so insulated from reality that self-expression transforms into self-mythology? The fact that viewers interpreted the same documentary in radically different ways demonstrated how emotionally loaded public perception of Jennifer Lopez has become. Perhaps the most revealing aspect of the entire situation was that Lopez never seemed interested in scaling herself down to meet internet expectations. Modern celebrity culture often rewards understatement, irony, and calculated casualness. Jennifer Lopez continues doing the opposite. She still believes in spectacle, emotional declarations, grand narratives, and full-scale celebrity presentation. In many ways, the greatest love story never told felt less like a modern influencer documentary and more like an old Hollywood star trying to preserve the idea that celebrity stories should feel cinematic and emotionally larger than ordinary life. Some audiences found that beautiful. Others found it exhausting. But almost nobody ignored it. And honestly, that may be the real reason the documentary mattered. It exposed a deeper cultural divide about what people now want from famous figures. Audiences claim they want honesty, but they also distrust performance. They admire confidence but criticize ambition. They romanticize old-school stardom while simultaneously mocking the theatricality required to maintain it. Jennifer Lopez walked directly into that contradiction and turned it into a public artistic statement, whether intentionally or not. Thanks for watching, and before you leave, tell me this: when you watched Jennifer Lopez's recent documentary projects, did you see genuine emotional honesty from someone trying to reclaim her own story? Or did you feel like you were watching a celebrity trying too hard to control how the public sees her?